So Cuomo out and Kathy Hochul in. After more than a decade at the helm of New York State, Andrew Cuomo has resigned amid growing pressure to leave or face impeachment. In his resignation speech, he apologized for causing offense to the 11 women who had accused him of sexual harassment, even as he denied improper conduct. The three-term Democrat's departure completes one of the most stunning falls in modern American politics. His successor, Kathy Hochul, will become the first woman to assume New York's top political office. But what impact does his resignation have on the Democratic Party, and what now for the Empire State? Well, to answer those questions, I'm joined now from New York by Dr. George Onuorah, who ran for election to New York City Council under the Democratic Party earlier this year. Thank you so much for joining us, George Onuorah. Well, would you say the President Joe Biden's call on Andrew Cuomo to step down, was that the final straw? And to think that a woman will be taking over from him, would you say that's poetic justice at its best?
Thank you, first of all, for allowing me the privilege to appear on your show, Arise TV, to state exactly what is going on right now. What happened in New York yesterday was actually a very historic proportion. The governor, Andrew Cuomo, putting in his resignation letter after almost 12 years of governorship is really monumental. The Cuomo family is more like a dynasty. If you may recall, his father, Mario Cuomo, held the position for 3 terms from 1983 to 1984. So the governorship has become more like a dynasty for the family. But when Joe Biden, the president of the United States, called on him to resign, that led to a cascade of important voices that he has to, listen to. And then also within the New York political power structure, everyone abandoned ship. So he had no option than to give up his stewardship of New York State. So that was really something that was telling.
Impact would you say this would have on the Democratic Party and even the Cuomo legacy that you talk about? When President Joe Biden was asked yesterday about what he felt concerning Andrew Cuomo's resignation and what impact it would have on the Democratic Party, he says it's not going to affect the Democratic Party in any way. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I will agree with that, because had he not resigned yesterday, that could have led to a lot of mess, because right now we're trying to navigate this horrible pandemic that has led to enormous loss of life in New York and throughout the world. So for him not to resign, it would have led to impeachment, which the New York State Assembly was getting ready to do. That could have led to a lot of testimony. Dirty laundry would have come out in the open, and that would have derailed the effort to focus on the pandemic and even the Delta variant, which is a threat still. That could have conspired to affect a lot of things: the economic recovery, the trajectory of positive trust that New York State was heading to, and including the students who have not been back to school. That would have derailed some of those efforts. So his resignation was a good thing, so that we can now focus to the things that need to be done to help New York State move forward as a democracy and as a viable economic mainstay in the nation.
Cuomo himself did say that, all the drama around the sexual, harassment allegations would amount to a huge distraction from governance in New York. But his resignation is not about to stop well, at least 2 New York district attorneys from investigating possible criminal actions against him. And there is the likelihood of an impeachment process. What do you think about that? Is that impeachment even necessary in the first place? And what are the likely outcomes if indeed he's found criminally culpable in any way?
Well, for the legislature, the New York State Assembly might decide to continue the process of impeachment. In other words, because if you listen to the governor, he was still a little bit defensive, trying to prove that some of those allegations are not really founded. So for the legislature, might decide to go forward with that, but it's left to be seen. I will only be hazarding a guess if I'm saying one way or the other what will happen. But in the interest of democracy, what folks will probably want to see an amicable resolution of this issue, and to make sure that justice is served, that those that were aggrieved, the 11 women that are the subject of this conversation, get the justice they need, and also that we can move forward as a state. Because at the end of the day, our democracy is what's in the intercept. The state needs to move forward and address those issues that affect the livelihood of every resident of New York State. So that, to me, should be the focus, as well as justice, because justice needs to be served in situations such as this. But it's left to be seen.
Now, 2 women will soon hold the highest positions of power in New York State. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, who will be taking over from Andrew Cuomo, and Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, a first for the state. And just like I asked you earlier, is this a case of poetic justice? What do you make of this? Is this a victory for the women? And of course, I would like you to also address the courage of the women who actually came out to face such a powerful man.
Right. First of all, justice is very important in any situation. It's part of our democracy, because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that all parties in a dispute get the kind of resolution that is needed. So the women that came forward are courageous women, and I applaud them for coming up to express how they feel, and instead of keeping quiet. And but in respect of Kathy Hochul, she will actually be the first woman governor in the state of New York. New York State has never elected a woman to the position. She's 62 years old and has vast political experience. She comes from upstate region that is more of rural area, and the choice of her as deputy governor was actually to balance the ticket, because I don't know if you know, Governor Cuomo hails from Queens, part of New York City. So it was a nice combination, and Kathy Hochul, being the first woman governor in New York State, also had served in the House of Representatives. So with her vast experience and having toured the entire 62 regions of New York State, I believe that she has now what it takes to fill in the big shoe of Andrew Cuomo. So we look forward to working with her as a Democrat. And if you know, I just ran for city council, and we have to come together and work together as a Democratic Party for the success of her stewardship. And then, of course, Andrea Stewart Cousins, the majority leader in the New York State Senate, is also a powerhouse. So New York will have 2 women, powerful women,
right,
as governor and deputy governor. So that is really something that is historic.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, George Onuorah, speaking on Andrew Cuomo.